right, welcome back everybody. Today we're going to be building an SMS app with Twilio, and this is continuing our API series. And so if we look here, we can see that Twilio is a company that allows software developers to make and receive phone calls, send text messages, and other communications. So today we're going to be using Twilio to create an SMS chatbot, okay? And so let's get started. So we'll simply go to Twilio, log in, and then once we are there, let's click login. Once we've logged in, we'll be here with the console. In the console, let's create a new project, okay? And then we'll say, for example, we'll do TheCodeBakery. Okay, and we'll verify. It's currently a free trial, and so, right, we want to make sure our project is a free trial, otherwise we get charged. So this is, I have phone verification set up, so I'm getting a quick access code, and I'm going to put that in right now. So here is, we need to verify a phone number. Wait, this is going to be any phone number that we're going to test to. And so, for example, here's my phone number. And I'm going to be using this phone number to test if my application works. Well, I'll just simply click verify. Then Twilio is going to send you a verification code, and you're going to enter that in here. All right, now we simply click yes, Python, use Twilio in a project. Now what we want to do is we want to send or receive an SMS. All right, now we're here, okay? We need to get a try. All right, welcome back. Now we're moving on to the Python part, where basically what we're gonna do is, last time we made this recipes app where you would input the food you want and then it would give you the ingredients and the recipe. So now we're gonna take this and turn it into a more practical app where if you text a number, the food you want, it'll return the ingredients and the recipe. So we'll be doing the same thing, except now we're going to be using Flask and Twilio to make it into a more practical app. So let's start by importing our libraries. We're going to need to import requests. Then, there are two things we need to use Twilio with our app. We're going to need Flask, and to do this, we're going to do from Flask import asterisk. This imports everything from Flask. And then we also need from twilio.twimo.messaging response import messaging response. Okay, so you're just going to want to copy, not that. You're just going to want to copy this line exactly how I have it here. So now we have our libraries imported. Let's start by laying out the basic Flask framework that we're going to need. So the first thing we need in every Flask app is we're going to say our variable app is equal to Flask with a capital F and whatever name. So right now we'll just do TheCodeBakery SMS. That'll be the name of our application. Then we need to declare an app route. So for every app route, it's going to follow this @app.route, and then it'll be the actual route. So we can just do, this can be anything you want. We'll just do SMS, and then we'll do the methods, which is going to be a dictionary that includes post and get. Under this, we need to define the function that it's going to run when our app route is called. So we'll do def SMS, and here's where we'll write our code for what we're going to do. So a lot of the code is going to be similar to this recipes app, except as you can see, all the print statements are going to be different because these print statements are going to be replaced by syntax that helps Twilio message back to the user. So let's copy all this code. And there are a couple of things that we need to change. First of all, this is only applicable in the Python's shell syntax. And so we need to change this. And so we're going to replace food with a new variable. And this is going to be whatever the user texts our robot. To get that value, we're going to do request.values.get. body, then after the body, comma, and empty colon dot lower. This converts everything that the user sends into lowercase, which makes it easier for our API. So now that we've created our food variable, we can simply delete this, and now these two lines are going to be unchanged. Now what we need to do is we need to add Twilio specific syntax. And so the way our app is going to work is a user is going to text our app first, and then we'll be responding to their message. And so the first thing we need to do is let's create a variable response. It's going to be messaging response. This is the library we made. This is the library we imported previously. And now in messaging response, we're going to write a new variable message is equal to response.message. Now, finally, what we have to do is we have to create a variable r that is going to go into message into the body. And so once we at the end, we'll simply write message.body r, and then we'll return the string version of response. So this is the basic Twilio syntax. These lines are laying down the Twilio syntax for us to be able to communicate with Twilio, telling it what we want to send back to our user. Now, all we have to do is instead of print, we'll simply do r plus equals. And then we'll do that here, r plus equals. And then r plus equals. And finally, r plus equals. Now, this is correct in a sense. However, one thing we need to go out and add are this \n. Let me show you here. This \n. So this is a special two characters that tells Twilio and Python that we need to make a new line. And so here, if we just did print, it would automatically make a new line for us. However, since this is all string, it really doesn't know when we need to make a new line and when we don't. So if we didn't have any of these \n's, it would all just be in one long string and it wouldn't look good. So we need to add some \n's, and we can do this just like this. And this makes our program, once Twilio sends back to us, it makes it look much better and much more readable. This, we don't need a \n here because this is going to be the last line, so it doesn't matter. However, we do need a \n here, a \n here, and then one \n here and in the front and the back. The reason this is because we're using a Twilio trial account. And so the first message that's actually going to come is this account is a Twilio trial account, and then we'll do a new line, ingredients, and then a new line for this response. Okay, so right now, this is going to be all our code that we need, and we can delete this line that was copied over from the recipe app. This is all our code that we need. Actually, this is all our code that we need to return a response. And finally, the last line of code that we need to add is app.run. Now, this is also another part of the Flask syntax that's mandatory to have. And so basically, all our code is done, and we could run it. However, there's a couple more things that we need to do within the Twilio website, and there's another tool that we need to use to show Twilio where our program is. So we can save it. Now, let me introduce you to a tool called ngrock. So basically, what ngrock does is let me show you. Let's go back to our code. Okay, so if we go back to our code and we click run the code. I spelled Twilio wrong. That's my mistake. Twilio is Twilio. You save the code. Okay, so now you see is that it says serving Flask app CodeBakery SMS running on this link. And so basically, this is called our local host. And so even though we're running on our local host, Twilio servers have a different local host than our computers. And so we're going to use ngrok. Once you make sure to download ngrok, and so we're going to use ngrok, and what we're going to run is ngrok http 5000 because we're running on our local host 5000, and so we're going to do ngrok http 5000. And so basically what ngrok is going to do is this is a real link that Twilio can recognize. And so basically, as you can see, it says this link with the forward arrow to HTTP localhost. And so we're going to feed this link into Twilio, and then once Twilio makes a call to this link, ngrok will take it and make a call to our code. And so this has been the setup for ngrok, and the final thing that we'll have to do is simply go to Twilio and tell Twilio what to do when a message comes in. So now we go back into the Twilio product. What you want to do is you want to make sure you're in the correct project, go into phone numbers, click on the phone number that you got previously, scroll down into messaging. A message comes in. That's what we want to do. And so we're simply just going to replace anything that was there, and we want to make sure it's configured as webhook, and then we also want to replace it with our ngrok variable. So as you can see, these two things are the same. However, one thing that you want to make sure is that you added the correct route. And so I'm adding /SMS. Now let me show you why. So the reason why is because I did app route /SMS. And so I'm going to make sure to do app route /SMS. Now that you've configured this, you can click save. Everything's successful. You just have to make sure that your Flask app is running and your ngrok is running, and then you can go away from your computer and go on your phone and text the number. And so now I'll be switching over to my phone where I'll be demoing the product. So now we're moving on to the phone demo where we'll simply put in the Twilio number and then send a food to test out if it works. So my number was 678, then 436 5390. Okay, so now all we do is we just send something like pizza, and we should get a response. Since that's a Twilio trial account, things are going a little bit slow. You just have to wait a little bit, and look, we got our result. So sent from your Twilio trial account, the ingredients: water, sugar, yeast, plain flour. This is the same thing that we got in our Python shell. However, we've created a much more practical app, and we've created an SMS chatbot that sends, let's say I want to do something like pasta. We can send that, and then as we can see, we've created a much more practical chatbot that has real world applications. So I hope you guys have a great time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.